comes today, praying peace upon your loved ones who are incarcerated. Uh, Once again, I come with just release to bring some things that I know about prison, things that I know that could could help an offender, things I know that could hurt an offender. Uh, like I say, I pray peace upon those who are incarcerated men, women, and teenagers. I never forget when I was a teenager, I went to state school back in '79. I, uh, I remember sitting up under this tree in the middle of the compound, and I was looking at the things around me. I was 15 years old at the time, and then I was looking at the landscape of the facility, and then at this time, in at that era, they had a lot of cotton fields surrounding the state school. They had one side of the compound with corn fields, and I was sitting there thinking, why was I there? Why was I there? And even up until the time I had escaped from the place. I escaped from the place, and I was asking myself, why was I there? Why was I going through what I was going through at that time? And my life enhanced to a point where I was sent to prison. And I know what it's like to go to a state school. I know what it's like to go to prison. And I know what it's like to be able to benefit from being in these institutions. See, because just because we find ourselves in prison, we find ourselves in these reform schools and state schools, doesn't mean that we have to have that kind of mentality. See, because these places hold a mentality of its own, and once you get there, you can adapt to the ways of that facility. And if you adapt to the ways of that facility, then that facility will hurt you and hurt your character. You know, as I got older and during time, I learned that we needed character even in prison. We needed character because when we go in front of those parole people, there's something they have to see that would make their mind up to free you, to give you what you need to go home, which is a FI. And when they review your records, that's what they reviewing, your character. The character in which you have built up for those to see that you want to go home, you want to be free. See, if you go in there and you don't have what it takes to make parole, then you have done something that only you can change, and that's your character. Because see, if you go in there and they give you a 2-year set off, That's saying that 2 year sit off is saying that you don't deserve parole at all. You don't deserve parole at all. And and to a degree, that's not right. See, because even if you go up in front of these people and you might not have completed educational courses, you might not have completed some of the things, AA, NA courses, but you still had your class in good time, which was one of the reasons why they reviewing you. But they looking at what you have and have not accomplished. That's what they looking at, people. See, when you go in front of these parole boards, right? When you go in front of these parole boards, they look at you in a certain manner. And if your character fits the facility, then they ain't gonna give you nothing. You know, there was a time in the institution when inmates, when let's say like I had went like 8 years without a disciplinary case. Well, in the time they said that that's like manipulating the system, staying out of trouble. To them, is manipulating the system when before I went on that stretch, I was a total clerk and I kept disciplinary cases. So when I didn't get any more disciplinary cases, right, and I went on this span without receiving one for 8 years, they look at that as trying to manipulate the system instead of looking at it as a person who has waking up, who has waken up to what he needs to do in order to go home, to what he needs to do in order to stay out of trouble, stay out from restriction, stay out, just staying away from the things that can hinder him. We have a system, right? We have a system that really exert the worst in you. They exert highly the worst in you. They do not exert the good. They do not exert the good. They only exert what you do bad. They really pay attention to that because that's their reason for not allowing you parole. See, because I say that prison can help you and it can hurt you. And it's so much right because let's say here's a guy who stayed out of trouble and trying to make parole. He's taking up courses. He's doing what it takes to change his character inside the walls, right? And when he come off of parole, they give him a 5 year set off. They give him a 5 year set off. Here's somebody that's been really trying to do what it takes in order to make parole. Do you know what this does to that individual who comes out of that parole office and can you imagine the look on his face, the hurt in his heart, the letdown he feels that parole has done to him? So he go back to the pod, he go back to his living area, and he sits there in his own world, and here comes somebody that might be playing with him or might be uh, joking with him in some form, and he just go off. He just go off. And from that day on, he just goes off on a daily basis. He forget all about what he needed to do in order to change, in order to uh, do what it takes to make parole. And that's what I mean about prison can hurt you, because your total mindset is as if they don't care, they don't care, they don't care, they don't care what you do. And this is what they want me to do. And I met guys inside the prison that felt as they wanted to discharge their sentences. They didn't want to go out on parole. The mindset that the institutional places in you. I had guys that preferred to do time in SEG instead of doing time in population. I mean, being in SEG, you in one cell, you in a cell all day, 23 hours a day. You get 1 hour of rest, and these people are bringing you your food. They bringing you everything. They spitting in your food, and they putting boogers in your food, and you prefer to be in that position. See, I couldn't live like that. I couldn't live in SEG because the officers, they they was really low down in SEG towards SEG inmates. And you had SEG inmates, they used to shit, and they would hold their shit for days. They would hold spoil. They would get milk and let the milk spoil and for days. And can you imagine shit been holding up, milk that's been spoiled and hold it up for days? They would have this, and they would dash this stuff on the officers. Yeah, they would dash piss on the officers. They would dash shit. And they also would dash one another. You had shit throwers, you had piss throwers, all these officers, and so they had to come with shields. They had to come with shields. As there was a phone call coming in which I couldn't take, but these officers, they had to walk the runs with pulling the shield in front of them so that the inmates wouldn't throw these things upon them. Can you imagine a officer or inmate been holding some spoiled milk for 2 weeks, and he throw it on the officer? Oh man, them officers used to hate that. But the officer would retaliate by doing something to the offender's food, doing something, spitting in it or something, and giving it to the inmate. And the inmate would eat it without thought, without jest. These things go on inside the walls. And to me, being in that situation hurts you because you have no way of knowing what's going on. You have no way of knowing what's taking place. And that's living in the blind to me. But we got people inside the walls that love to live in that manner. And it's crazy. But when I think about the mindset of the inmates, you have a set of inmates who truly feel that they don't want to get out. I'm talking about they don't want to get out. You have some that truly think that they can't make it in society. You have inmates that feel they have to discharge and don't want to be on parole and be having many years left to do. And and that's that to me that's crazy to even uh, think about something like that to do. At an early time of their sentences. But you have those kind of inmates, and the system is designed, like I say, it could help you or it could hurt you. Helping you is being in a position that you can uh, do better for yourself, do good for yourself while being in there. You have officers and administrations that uh, they can't deny you. They can't deny you if you reach the requirements in which whatever program you are trying to get involved in. They can't deny you if you're trying to uh, receive a job in which you are requires and that you would like to have. So much goes on inside of there where the place could help you with things in which you need to have in order to better yourself inside the prison. Like I say, prison it can hurt you, it can help you, or it can help you. This is Andre Wade with Just Release, and I'll be back with something else. Don't forget to tell when you tell somebody about Just Release, tell me that like button. Tell me that like button. Share, and subscribe, and 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 all I'm asking is for for the people to let the people know about Just Release. Uh, there might be some things in which you might not enjoy listening to, but there are some things in which you're gonna enjoy to listen to, and you're gonna respect what I bring because what I bring is for the people. This is Andre Wade with Just Release, and I'll be back with something else.